Hi everybody, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra. For those of you watching on YouTube, Happy New Year. For those of you watching in the app, you're gonna get this a few days earlier. Happy New Year to you as well. Today, I wanna talk about my 2024 training year. What did I do for training in 2024? What are my plans for 2025? And maybe give you a little bit of insight into some ways that you might be able to train this year. Palm pepper spray is next generation OC spray. It's hot at 1.4% major capsaicinoids, and its modular design means you can customize it exactly to you. 3 different setups, lots of different color combinations. You can make it exactly as you like. And the flip top safety prevents accidental discharges. It's 10 to 12 foot range and 25 half-second blasts. Make sure that you can keep that long range eye poke at long range. I trust Palm OC and I recommend it for everyone for self-defense. 2024 for us was an incredible year of training as students. I want you guys to recognize, hopefully, that at Active Self-Protection, we really take the motto, student always, instructor sometimes, very seriously. And really our instructor cadre, which our instructor cadre is me, Neil, Stephanie, Chris Bean, and Carrie Dudenhofer, who goes out, teaches classes, leads our conference, those kinds of things. And we take that adage absolutely to heart. That is not just a motto, it is a way of life at Active Self-Protection. We train like dogs, because we want to bring you the very best. And I think we did that in 2024. I'm not going to talk about the rest of the team and what they did. They can make one of those videos for themselves if they want to and put it here on the channel. I'm just talking about me. So this year as a student, no, I'm not kidding. I will lay them out for you. I got almost 400 hours of time under instruction as a student in 2024. Now, a lot of that was in one class, about 3/4 of it, in fact, but I started my year with Defensive Fighting Handgun class, the only live fire class I took for the year, with Defenders USA and Adam Winch. And that was a lot of odd positions. It was a lot of fighting off your back, a lot of shooting from grounded positions. It was a very interesting class, and I'm glad I went. I went with a couple of friends in that class. Really enjoyed my weekend. That was 16 hours of training. Then in February, I took a class with Force Science, Methods of Instruction. And quite frankly, that class blew up the way that I teach. They are so research informed at Force Science, and mea culpa, at that class, I became an ambassador for Force Science. I think the first one that they have, frankly, and the one who is trying to help them to branch out into the private citizen space. I'm the first non-sworn person that went through their Force Science Analyst certification. I am the first person to go through their Advanced Force Science Specialist class as a non-sworn in the cadre of those. We had a couple of us in that cadre that were non-sworn in that cohort. And I think I'm trying to help them to what they do, and what their core is teaching law enforcement use of force and understanding human performance, human memory, vision, human reaction times, decision making, and memory in law enforcement context, so that we're not asking fish to fly, so that we understand use of force incidents from the training side and from the investigation side. And I've been the one jumping up and down and saying this 100% applies to private citizens too, not just law enforcement as a profession, but the use of force and defensive force as private citizens. And so we've kind of gotten together on that a little bit, and I love the classes that they teach. And so I am a joyful ambassador for Force Science. And Neil and Carrie and Stephanie and I took their Methods of Instruction class, and the research methodology in that class, talking about how to build student knowledge transfer and retention. So knowledge transfer is not just transferring from the instructor to the student, but the student taking the knowledge learned and transferring it into novel contexts. So not just shooting on the range, but having to defend their life with a gun in their hand. And so that's retention and knowledge transfer. So owning that and keeping it, and how to do that as an instructor, and interleaving practice, and random and variable interleaving, and making sure that your bandwidth of your feedback is very narrow, and other concepts like that. Very mind-blowing. It led us to kind of put all of our classes on hold to redo them in light of those learning principles, in fact. And it messed with me. And that was 40 hours of instruction. But that was a lot to be honest with you. Then later in the year, we went all the way through into October before I took my next class. And that, I had a very busy summer. I had a court case over the summer that really took up a lot of time, as well as running both channels. And then we took 2 classes with Winning Mind Training, which is Brian Willis. He's out of Calgary, Alberta, and he does some really incredible stuff, retired law enforcement officer, but he does a lot with not only leadership in the context of law enforcement, which of course then I have to transfer a little bit of context into the private citizen world, but he does performance enhancing imagery stuff and teaches that, whether you want to call that neurolinguistic programming, not like the woo stuff, but the actual stuff that works, or performance enhancing imagery, or even hypnosis. It's fascinating stuff that's shown to make people better. It's helped me in my weightlifting and my strength building in a big way. And we did 2 classes with him, performance enhancing imagery and great leadership, and 2 days of leadership fundamentals and dynamics for organizations, and then 3 days of performance enhancing imagery. Really fantastic classes, really enjoyed those very much. And then, so that was 40 hours. So you add all that up, that's 96 hours. And that would get me about what I would like in a year, which I try to get 100 hours a year as a student, or I've tried to do that for the last like 7 years now. I've blown that out of the water many years, but that's what I try to get. And then Stephanie and Carrie and I were in the very first cohort as non-sworn of Force Science's Advanced Force Science Specialist class. Now, they claim this class is 300 hours. I'm gonna call hogwash on that and say it was more like 350 to 400. It was an incredibly deep dive. So the Force Science Analyst certification is their basic 40-hour certification, mainly for investigators, but also for leaders in the law enforcement space to understand human performance and law enforcement use of force from the training side as well as from the investigation side. Well, the Advanced Force Science Specialist is that, like on steroids. We took huge deep dives in vision, in attention, in research, and how to do good research in use of force, in human performance. We looked at how attention affects memory and how that affects decision making. So we did stuff like this. Like, this is Joan Vickers' book, Perception, Cognition, and Decision Training, The Quiet Eye in Action. This book, by the way, it's a nerdy book, and it'll cost you $300 in print. So I have a copy of it. Really fascinating book about how the difference between elite performers and near elite performers in sports. So we took that. You see there's a tennis player on the cover. They looked at basketball players and golfers and hockey players and football players and all these things, how they see, what they see, when they see, how they train vision in order to be great. We're putting that into play in our classes. We also looked at books like Motor Performance and Learning, Motor Learning and Performance, got it backwards there. From Principles to Application, really, really good stuff here in terms, and there's interesting, this one's at least got pretty pictures in it. Really good stuff there. This class was really incredible. I'm gonna have Carrie and Stephanie come and talk with me about that class and do a full class review on it. But that was, oh gosh, I'd say at least 350 hours. I'm gonna call it 300 hours of training because that's what they call it, but it was at least 350 hours, probably 400 hours of work over 18 weeks. It averaged at least 20 hours a week. It culminated in 3 days of clinicals. It was a ridiculous amount of work. So I'm glad I did it. When you put that 300 hours with the other 96, I got 396 hours of training in 2024 related to the business of active self-protection and related to helping you with self-defense and your firearm skills. It about ruined me, y'all. I also, just the way that life happened and things go down, I took back over the video editing job at Active Self-Protection. And so I've been doing that as well as creating all the content on, most of the content on both channels. I'm responsible right now for 11 of the 14 videos a week that we make at Active Self-Protection. And so it's been a lot. It's been a very busy year. So what does that mean for 2025? I got to be honest with you, I haven't looked at 2025 very much. I have looked at one class with Force Science, and that is their Advanced Body-Worn Cameras course. And that is a midweek course in Florida, and I might look into that one. The other thing is I just crossed over about 1,900 hours of formal instruction in this space. And you know what's funny? when I looked at my master's degree, I have a master's of divinity in biblical communication, and that's one of the longest master's degrees that exists. It's a 96 credit hour master's degree, which if you've got a master's degree, you know that 96 credit hours is a bonkers amount of credits for a master's degree. There are some executive masters that you can get with 30. Most are around 45 to sometimes as much as 60. So 96 credit hours is nuts. And that took me 1,500 hours of classroom time. So now I have significantly more classroom hours in the self-defense and firearms training space than I had for my very involved master's degree, in addition to additional study. So I'm getting somewhat to the point of diminishing returns. There are some classes that I definitely want to take, but I don't want to go take classes just to take classes and burn time. I'm too busy for that. So I know I want to go take the advanced body-worn cameras class. I got to talk to Stephanie about times and finances and stuff in order to do that. And then I would like as well. I've been sniffing around a couple of the more significant pistol-mounted optics instructor classes just to see how other people are doing it, and I'd like to maybe think about that in the firearms space. But really, what I'd like to do this year, just for me personally, is I want to. I have multiple cases coming up. You guys know, and if you've been around the channel a while, my expert witness caseload has been going up the last couple of years, and I've got one case that I'm almost positive is going to go to trial in March, and then I've gotten inquiries on several others. I have 3 others in the pipeline right now that look like, or 4 others, golly man, 4 others that look very strong, that they are looking like court-based cases that they need help on. So if that's the case, I won't have time to do a whole lot more. And quite frankly, my additional time, in addition to running the business, maybe doing the force science class, I would like to get my instrument rating as a pilot. I know that sounds silly to you because it doesn't matter to you in the self-defense space, but I've been a pilot now for about 4 years, and I have not yet gotten my instrument rating. And yet there's some flying, like going out to see Neil and Stephanie in South Dakota, that without an instrument rating, it really limits. They have so much time there. They have overcast layers, like 3 seasons of the year, that you got to be able to punch through. And to do that, you need an instrument rating. And it also makes you a much safer pilot and a much more capable pilot. So I'm trying to put aside some money and get my instrument rating. So what does that mean for you? My encouragement for you is, okay, at ASP, we try to get 100 hours a year of training in our senior cadre or more. We blew that out of the water this year. What does that mean for you? Well, for you, I would encourage you, I'm not telling you to go get 100 hours a year of training. I think that's insane, quite frankly. For most people, again, this is my full-time gig. This is my profession. I have chosen to make this what I try my best to be one of the most studious in the world at. So I don't certainly expect you to do that. But maybe one day, can you get one day or one weekend, a 2-day class in this year? And of course, my recommendation for that for you, if you go look on our website, links in the description, this year I think we have 8 opportunities all around the country to take evidence-based pistol skills. I'm going to be teaching one of those with Neil and with Chris, and then Neil and Chris are teaching the other 7. They are so good at that, and that is their focus. So one of the things we're doing at ASP this year is encouraging everybody to lean into their particular bailiwick and their particular focus. So Neil and Chris are getting out there and teaching a lot of these classes. So go and take that class. We'd strongly recommend it. Also, of course, the ASP National Conference. Please hit the link in the description. We haven't announced the dates yet. It'll be September for sure. We got to wait for Kansas State to announce their football schedule so that we don't schedule on the same weekend they have a home football game, because that makes the hotel rooms bonkers, stupid, expensive, and hard to get. It's in outside of Manhattan, Kansas, and it is all to benefit the Flint Hills foster teen camps and to help those abused and abandoned foster kids. So please join us for that. That's 3 days of training. You get 24 hours of incredible, high-quality, conference-style instruction, and you get a tax break, and again, you get the best value in training anywhere in America, and the after-hours stuff and the extracurricular stuff and the community stuff it's just gold. It's the weekend of the year. And I'm there teaching. I teach every class period. The rest of the senior cadre is there. We invite instructors from around the country that are heartfelt, value-added, great instructors to come and instruct with us and help. It's a really, really great time. And the instructors all donate their time, and every penny goes to the kids. It costs us money to put it on. Every year, ASP spends something like $10,000 or $12,000 of company money in order to put the conference on, so that all the money goes to the kids. So I'd encourage you, get some of that. And if you can't make it for one of those, well, gosh, man, look into your local area. Maybe you can't travel for forever, but you can do something in your local area. And I can't say enough. If you need advice on that, ask. Shoot me an email or, hey, John, I'm in this area. Where can I find a great local instructor? We'll help you find one if we possibly can. So that was training for us for 2024. Looking forward to 2025, maybe getting some more. I'm sure things will pop up over the year that I'm looking forward to doing, and I would ask you as well. Is there any training class in the defensive space that you're looking forward to doing in 2025? I'd love to hear all about it. Happy New Year, everyone.
Download the ASP Unlimited app for all the content you love from active self-protection and more with no interference from YouTube. No ads, no age gates, exclusive videos, seminars, classes, and more on iOS, Android, Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, and Android TV. Hit the link in the description or download ASP Unlimited from your app store today.